Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel. Hello.
Hey, hey.
How are you? Are you ready to talk about this week?
Some parts yes, some parts no.
Yes. I was about to ask you, how's the vision? Like, have you removed your hands from your eyes yet? Or are you like,
My
oh,
eyes, my
oh
eyes.
my gosh, that's all I heard. But you know what? We'll start
What?
from the beginnings. From the
Beginning.
beginnings. Okay. So TJ shows up to where Curtis doesn't work. And to hype him up about his new job. And that's where I was like, look at TJ going through hell, but always
Yeah.
supporting his uncle in this new venture. And so they had a talk. What did you think about all of this?
Okay, a part of me feels sad that the only male older person TJ has in his life is Curtis.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Like I kind of laughed and I'm like, because Curtis is there, you know, like trying to give advice, and he tries to explain his relationship to Portia to us all. And he says, I pushed Portia away because it was about control. I'm
Yeah.
like, I thought it was because she kept your daughter away from you for 20 years. Potato, potato, whatever you want to call it. You guys were not in a good place in your marriage at all. There
And
was
he
like
really
no
didn't.
trust.
Exactly. And he kind of didn't close the loop on that for me. Like, I don't feel like I learned anything about that they're actually going in the right direction. I think he's just like, well, I'm
No,
here. I'm actually married. It's good sometimes, it's bad sometimes.
no.
You love them, you stay. I don't know. You good?
No, like TJ is a man who participates in his relationship. You know what I mean? He
Yes.
feels things because compared to Molly, he's relatively healthy. And I
Yes.
would love to, like, he has support from his mom and, definitely a lot from Stella, but he has these real conversations and he has people he can lean on. So, but Curtis, yeah, you're right. Like they have these separate lives. He takes on this job at Aurora and he just tells her about it. Doesn't really consult her. She has a
Yes.
busy job and they make a point of saying that. They gloss over a lot of their bigger problems. You know what I mean? Like we never actually like when you say that he didn't close the loop on that for me, the loop has not been closed on whatever it is like of their relationship. It all looks kind of good on the surface. They've had big moments to pull them together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's that, they ride the wave of like, hey, I'm kind of not so mad right now. I guess everything's okay. But then he like ended up bonding more with Trina. Like they do lead separate lives, if you will. And they do have separate stories. Like Portia's having some story on her own right now.
Is she ever? And she is a terrible liar.
Yeah, like she's having story, but I appreciate them circling back to Molly and like giving us a bit of an insight into how like TJ and Molly are coping with all of this. So Curtis actually points out that Molly is isolating herself. I mean, in terms of TJ's family, they can't help but notice that.
Yes, exactly.
And TJ starts, so this is the beginning of seeing how TJ understands her.
Yes.
And he says, like, work makes her feel better. And that, like, work is obviously giving her something that she can't get anywhere else, which is
So
control.
is so is Dix.
Oh, man. So, like, it's okay. I will say this. I find that lately on GH, they're just dropping like heavy, heavy hints. Like, they're talking through a lot of the storylines rather than
Yes.
some of them being like acted. Like I feel like some places it's more jarring than others. I would say for like TJ and Molly, it's a bit more subtle. It's talky. They're talking
Yes.
about her and them, but I would say it's a little bit more less in your face than the rest of them. So TJ is now sharing things like and that I feel is normal, right? They're going through this big grief and it is hard sometimes to come together. It's ideal to come together, but it's hard to do,
Yes.
particularly a couple who lost a child. So now telling us that they're crossing each other a lot, like missing each other, and also the fact that he's like, I don't even know where she is.
Yeah.
And she had a different recount recount what?
Yes. I believe that is close to the word, and I don't know if it's right or wrong.
Because, now I'm stuck on numbers, like recounting, but it is
Yeah.
recounting. English,
Yes.
it's so hard. So
It is.
so she had a different way of describing what happened. She told TJ it was all legal. It was all legal. They talked legal things, they talked court stuff, they talked case. But no, she did something she cannot do with anyone else. She talked about her grief. She
Yes, it
talked
was
about
huge.
yeah, she opened up about the baby and cried openly at the bar,
Yes.
and Dex was just there.
It was really interesting. It was, Dex just chilling, having his beer. You know how we talk about he's a variation of Jason. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, so it's an interesting duo because Dex is now on the side of the law. She's finding this kinship with him and she trusts him more than somebody she spent most of her life with.
See, that part's tough, right? That's
Mhm.
tough because she tells Dex he's the first person to ask how she was.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, "You were you're shutting people out." Like,
Exactly.
you
You didn't
act
go home.
you have a partner that actually wants this, wants all of you. He really wants to hear how everything is. He wants to be there for you, and even tells her later on like you don't have to be alone anymore. And that's what's interesting. It's like he's not wrong. I think he nailed it. Like she's used to having to deal with things on her own, and I think yeah, for a part of her life that's probably very true. But it's not true when it comes to TJ, but she's automatically like that.
Yes.
But also the petty part of me was thinking this. When she said that, I was like, "Well, did you ask them how she was?" I'm like, "Her mom was sent to jail. She had to take Christine to the hospital. She has her boyfriend's ex-wife who's dying. She has a son whose
Yeah.
father who's left on a mission who may not come home again." You know? I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
there's a
no,
lot
nobody
there.
asks. Nobody asks Sam like how she's doing in all of this. But it is true that Molly's pushing people away. I just didn't know what to think about that because I'm like, I understand that it's easy for her to open up to a stranger,
Yes.
but can you help me out with that a little bit? Like, I understand. I totally understand the logic of it, but it's just, is it okay? Like, she can't be vulnerable with TJ. Like, I get with her family right now, they're a bit at odds and she's angry. And I think that as much as I'm poking fun of her with the Sam thing, I do think Molly should be hyper focused on herself right now. Like, I think sometimes you need to bounce back to the extremes in order to find the middle. And all her life, she's been more of like a people pleaser. And now she's
Yes.
bouncing to the other side. And I feel like stay there, stay on the other side. And, you'll ping pong and you'll find the gray at some point. But what's the deal though? Is it that she doesn't want to be vulnerable? Is it that it freaks her out to be needed? Is it because if she talks to Dex, she figures like what?
But Dex is such an interesting choice, right? Because he's so intertwined in the family. Like
Yeah.
she has problems with Sonny. He, is kind of close to Christina. There's the relationship with Joss. Like he's so connected in her world of it is one thing to talk to a stranger. I get that. Like somebody who's completely detached from your world.
But he's
But
not.
he's absolutely not detached from your world. He is entangled in parallels in spider webs in all of the angles and lines in your world. So to me, no, it doesn't make sense. And it is if TJ knew, he would be so hurt.
Yeah, he would be. Okay, I think I get it a bit more because if she were to go to TJ, he'd be emotional with her, and she doesn't want that. I don't think she's comfortable with that, and I don't think there's a risk of Dex turning around and being emotional. At best, he'd sit next to her silently.
Yes, that's
Right? Like,
true.
so it wouldn't become too emotional. But there is something interesting that you point out about who he's connected to and the role he has been playing for her. No one can reach her, but when he calls her out on stuff and challenges her thoughts, it sinks in.
So he's her Jason.
Uh, yeah, she's kind of like a Robin. like a little,
Ew,
like
totally, yes, a goody goody know-it-all.
well, yeah, and I think that, like, look, oh, crap, now that you say it, it's just that when you put her with TJ and she says, let's say something about Christina, he goes into the delusions with her, or he goes too
Yes,
far and she has to challenge it, even though she doesn't want to, right? Like how with
yes,
Christina, he'd get so upset and then she'd be like, well, no, 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 no. Like it's so much that she had to have balance, but they're in this really weird place where there is no balance and Dex
yes.
is balance.
Ooh, yeah.
Uh-oh, and that's more of an anchor, right?
Yes, yes, it
Like
is.
that not being treated delicately, and I don't think she wants to be treated that way. But TJ also had something pretty intense to say to Stella. He said, Molly is overwhelmed and she gets overwhelmed by my feelings. So therefore there's no space. Like he doesn't have a partner to go to.
Yeah,
And he said he's becoming a bit resentful about that.
I know that was pretty significant.
I was wondering when that would happen because you were seeing it, right? You saw that
Yes,
he was hurting. And even though like when all of this was happening to her, the diagnosis, yes, it was her body. And I think for a while, he kept trying to step aside. It was like, okay, well, this is happening to her, but it was also happening to him. And he
yes.
kept trying to put her first, but like time has not allowed room for him at all.
No, it's just gotten worse, and he is in it alone. And yet he
Yeah.
still finds time to go and see his Uncle Curtis and keep in touch with people in his life and have genuine connections. And she's just kind of icing him out.
Well, he has people, right? Like he doesn't have the baggage. So he's grieving, but he has his family. She's grieving, but she has no one. And she does have baggage,
But
right? Because like when they talk about the Molly Christina stuff, I think that for Molly, like she's never really processed her family dynamics. This is a first for her. Like Christina was under no illusion of who her parents were. Well, Sunny is a whole other story, but with regards
yeah,
to her mom, she wasn't like under any illusion. She was had a combative relationship with Alexis most of her life. She was disapproved of like to her face, but she found a way, to connect with her family like regardless. And I think for Molly, it's tough because as much as she's pointing all of this stuff toward Christina, a lot of it does have to do with her mom. I think she still has that wounded girl mentality that if I'm quiet and I'm good, mom will turn around and give me everything that I need. And I think there is a lot of anger there too, and a lot of dynamics that she hasn't really processed. So I think she's working through things to see life through an adult lens, I guess, like a balanced one. I don't know, one where she's processed all of this.
it's so interesting because you're talking specifically about family, but at the end of the day, when you look at her surroundings, she's choosing to focus on the family she doesn't have as opposed to the family that TJ and his family is providing. If you look
Yeah.
at her circle, she never like okay, like I know it was a cult, but Christina like went out into the world and she like made friends. She had the girl, the woman who was like the cop, they were friends. Like Christina like
Valerie.
yes, Valerie. So Christina like built herself a life outside of her family.
Okay, yeah.
And Molly just always kind of stayed in that bubble. Like she could go to Sam. Sam is so open minded. I would not judge her. And she still will not go to Sam. She still doesn't expand past her circle and also not into the life that TJ is providing for her. She's
Yeah,
making choices as well as processing her family dynamics.
yeah, but she's really raw, and Sam, like, metaphorically speaking, slipped into Alexis's role when she sat on the bench with Christina.
No, yes, I'm saying like prior to this. Prior
Oh,
to this,
yeah.
if anything went wrong in Molly's life, if it did, she never really went to anybody either. Look what happened with the whole Brando situation.
But she
She
was
dealt with it
supported
herself.
through that. Well, Christina, she went to like she did it. She made a mistake, and she went to Christina, her sister, but also someone who's made a lot of mistakes. And Christina supported her through it.
But I guess what I'm saying is when you don't have any friends, you don't know what to do, you make really drastic decisions. Not being able to connect with TJ didn't mean going to sleep with Brando. It means calling your girlfriend up and saying like, "Hey, I don't know what's going on. I just need to like talk this out."
But that's the point, right? Like you said, she kind of stayed close to home, and she never
Yeah.
really experimented with her identity. right? Everything has to
Yeah.
be controlled and contained. Like she was this writer, this romantic, and then she was like, I'm going to be a lawyer.
Yes.
I'm gonna let all that go. Because there was a conversation she had with TJ at the Metro Court once about her future and about like not feeling happy in law. Like she loved it, but he talked about her writing and she's like, no, like I'm focused on this. Like it's a more logical choice. So yeah, I think this is what it's really about. I think it's Molly right now kind of thrashing against the limits and icing out her family to kind of do what you're saying, to go out into the world a little bit, to experience things outside of that. What I think would be interesting though down the line, as much
Hmm.
as we've talked, and I don't know if this will ever like come full circle, but you know how
Okay.
everyone suspected the first surrogate like having had the baby?
Yes, yes.
I thought of it through this lens. Like what would happen? Because right now Molly is going through a lot and she's under the impression that it's Christina specifically who's a horrible person, that only Christina in the position she was in would change her mind and fall in love with the baby. Even though in reality, like her and TJ are in a really rough spot and they're in a vulnerable position. There is a lack of control, her not being able to carry the baby. Now you have to rely on all these external things. And even with adoption, there can be a risk that the mom can change her mind. And it sucks
Yes.
because there's all of this uncertainty and you do not have control in the way that others might over this process. You have other processes that you now have to consider. And I wonder what it would mean if this surrogate that Molly felt was perfect
Yes. Oh,
um did the thing that Christina didn't end up like didn't get the chance to do but was planning on doing. This idea that this happens and it's not a Christina specific things. Like I wonder what that would mean at the end of the day.
no, but I want that so badly. Now that you've put it out into the universe, it has to happen. The GH gods are listening. I so much need to see this. Once she's healed a bit, like Molly has kind of gone through her feelings, maybe gone to grief counseling, that kind of thing. And then bam, this has got to happen.
Like they have to go all the way to the end with the Christina part before introducing this
Yes.
because
Yes.
right now Molly feels because Christina was, I'm going to say this in air quotes, capable of not following through. Like the idea that someone fell in love with the baby. And remember, this surrogate already had a pregnancy because that was the point. They warned her to be a surrogate. It's good if the person has gone through pregnancy before because you can foresee some of these things. And so like and this the other surrogate had a child as well, right? And did sort of know. And then and so if they
Yes.
do just so I think it'll be like it's going to be extremely messy, but that has led Molly to believe that because Christina was capable of keeping the baby, that she murdered Kate's. So that has to be so I'm just saying that story has to go all the way, right? Like the fact that
Yes.
Molly wanted to meet with Martin. Like, so right now she thinks she's the only one on her mom's side,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Like
big
she's
time.
the only one that can solve this. And the fact that she's like, I'm not here as the DA, I'm here as like a daughter. He's like,
I
you
could
can't
not.
disentangle the two. And I was like, what's going on? And so I don't know what that's gonna mean, but I think it's funny that she feels that the weak link is Carly.
Yes.
So I was like, I don't know, Molly. Like, I mean, I get it if we think about the performance today, but the idea is that like Carly's been a mob wife and in the game like a hell of a lot longer than Molly's been doing this.
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like Carly can do this stuff with her eyes closed.
Picturing their date and the disgust on her face. Like, I think she would have rather been sitting at that table with her eyes closed.
I know because I actually couldn't understand why Diane was being weird at Bobby's. I
Yes.
was like, why is she having such a problem with all this? And then I was like, oh, Carly openly flirting. Even funnier though, when he walked in and Joss saw them,
Yes. Her
the way
eyes.
she the way she looked back and forth. And when Carly was talking to Brennan, it was one of my favorite lines when she said, on a Jocelyn scale of 1 to Sunny or a 4. It's like so good.
So
But
good.
yeah, so then that got amped up, right? So now I'm like, really? So now Carly has to have this huge lecture about, like, I just don't understand. Poor Charles, they're comfortable living in a town where murder runs rampant. But
Yes,
God
yes, thank
forbid
you.
you sleep with your ex.
God forbid there's some casual sex happening or tattoos. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Right? The reaction to Jason is that you can't get tattoos and to have sex with Sonny like that and you're not gonna marry him? You
We are modern women, I guess.
I was like, but then I was like, okay, you know what, Diane, you're selling me on this because she's like,
Yes.
as easy as you can, let's say, slip into bed together, you could easily just lie about it and alibis can happen the same way. So I was like, okay, fair, fair.
Yes. Yes.
Um, but I was annoyed because while Carly's getting lectured, Sunny is having some coffee machine chat with Natalia.
Oh my God. I loved the post so much that you made because like that's exactly what I'm like, what is happening? Why are we talking about coffee machines? This is ridiculous.
Because I'm like, I'm staring at the scene, right? And he's fiddling with the coffee machine. And I'm like, is this what I think it is? I'm like, are they using a coffee machine analogy to refer to his romantic life? I was like, and then it just kept going and it kept going and they just kept hammering it. And like, and this is the line Natalia used to speak of the coffee machines. Why hang on to the ghosts of the past when there's a perfectly good future staring you right in the face?
Yep. I don't think we're talking about coffee machines anymore.
Oh my gosh. And I honestly, I just couldn't believe the whole thing. And the fact okay, I have to admit the comedy of it all because I 100% do not think that this is one of those we're going to fake the relationship and we're going to fall in love. It's very
Oh, hard
obvious
no.
that this is so inconvenient for the both of them and that they each would have an interest. Like she really loves flirting with Brennan. Today
Yes.
Brennan got to stroke her hair and Carly had no
He got to
reaction to
pet
it.
her as what
Petted her, he
yes.
pet her for a while.
Oh
And
wow.
and then you have Sonny who cannot help himself. This man is supposed to be alibying it up. He makes a whole thing of the public date with Carly and then goes over to sit with Natalia and then is about to tell Natalia, oh, nothing's happening with me and Carly. We just do this. So
No,
once
no,
I'm with
no.
a girl flirting, I just go and I hang out with her.
No, he called it we occasionally intersect.
Yeah, their lives. I'm like, what? Ask Tracy. There's no lock on that bedroom. So it's like
Oh goodness.
I just couldn't. And then when she was at the his restaurant to see him and they
Yes.
made arrangements for this date,
Yes.
um and, and it's Sunny. He said he said a few things. I'm like, you're such a jerk. He's like, I guess you're stuck being my girlfriend. Like he's just having a blast. He's like, I get to shoot Kate's and I get to mess with Carly a little bit. And then
Right?
and then
Oh,
once the date was solidified, he tells her, so like, no, you're not gonna flirt with other guys. And I'm like, this is such a Sunny thing to do. She
of
walks in
course.
on him shamelessly flirting with Natalia and then is concerned about her flirting and wanting to know with who.
Yep.
So okay, also at the Metro Court, people people are looking and just the looks are so weird at Sunny and Carly because it's just it's so strange to see how far they've come that it's odd for people to look over at it.
Right?
And can I just say what I'm very angry about? Very
Tell
angry
me.
about.
Yes, please
Sunny
tell me.
walked up to Martin. Did you notice anything?
No.
Where did Martin's accent go?
Oh
It was live and well when he went to see Alexis in prison.
my god.
I was like, why is he talking like that? And I'm like, Johnny, come in here. It's like, I love how I just get angry at him. Like, he's done this. He's
Yes.
behind the hospital. I'm like, do you hear this? Do you hear it? And he's like, no, what? I'm like, listen, listen closely. I'm like, he normally has like an accent that's so fun to listen to. What are they
Yes.
doing? Why can't people have accents?
What's happening to this world?
And then it occurred to me, okay, who hates
Mhm.
accents?
Tracy?
Tracy. Tracy finds Lois more acceptable without an accent. Do you think she'll find Martin more acceptable without an accent?
Well, she definitely liked the way that he spoke to Lucy when they were at the Metro Court.
Yes. Did she like what he said, that he insulted Lucy, or did she like that he lost his accent?
A combination of the both.
I'm so I'm so unhappy about this
Hmm.
development. So he went to go see Alexis. Alexis discovers she has a lawyer. Alexis, always 10 seconds too late, goes, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't have represented myself now that I'm in prison."
I'm not that good of a lawyer, guys.
But like, I don't know what to say to any of this. She's like, "We cannot have, like, Christina can't be anywhere near this." But to hear
Ugh.
Martin paraphrase, he's like, "So you're telling me your adult daughter can't control herself and cannot be controlled?" I'm like, I don't know if she's that like much of an unstable, out of control adult. I mean, like right now is really extreme. She got thrown out
The-
of a window. She's still
she
somewhat
did,
recovering
but
from that.
after the court thing with Alexis, when they sent her the Pentonville, that's when Sam brought her to the hospital and she
Yeah.
had this huge conversation with her dad. And she's really set on dealing with her mental health. So the last time Alexis saw her, she's in a very different state from then till now.
She, of course, like, I just don't like equating the fact that somebody being in a vulnerable state is she's just so weak. And
I
if you
know.
if you parallel that with how Sunny saw her or how Dante sees her, being like, you're strong, because strong is not never being affected. Strong is going through difficult things and coming out the other end. And it's not being like a robot. And so I don't know. Like she had this whole conversation with Sunny, and could you believe it? He told her. He told her.
Oh, yeah, he sure did.
So she's really being pulled in. She finds out and she's like, "Well, you did it. Now my mom's in jail. That doesn't track." But I'm hoping that with Sunny, when he tells her he'll handle it, that she believes him and that keeps her calm. But she got led into some really big stuff.
Yes, it's pretty wild. And she handled it very well.
Yeah, because he said killing someone really marks you, about her desire to kill.
Yes.
But like she's totally being indoctrinated into the mob.
Yes.
So aside from being indoctrinated, something interesting transpired and I thought about you.
Oh, tell me more.
Do you want to hear about it on today's
Yes, please.
episode? Okay, so Chase comes over, right?
Yes.
Everyone's all up in Christina's apartment. Anyways, like Dante, I'm like, is this the first time you've been here? Sunny, I was like, I like this. So Chase is all angry. I have never seen him, like, he has been around criminals, and I've never seen him lose patience like that before. It's like, just tell me, Christina. I was like, excuse you?
Anna's been training him.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And the fact that like this is ridiculous. Like the fact that Dante's there and he looked at him to leave, like you should leave. Like, does that make sense to you?
No, not at all. It was so weird.
Like, why would you be shocked that Dante's concerned? Like, the amount of police that have been around this girl, like, throughout all of this other stuff is insane.
Hmm.
So, knew he was calling Diane, so happy when Diane showed up.
Yes.
But Chase had a problem with that. And then Chase tracks him down. He's like, "Oh, your ex-wife is in a coma? Too bad. I have some words to exchange with you, sir." And so out of nowhere, Chase is all oppositional with Dante.
Yes.
Do you get it?
Oh, explain it to me.
Because you explained it to me last week. Lois told Ned we're family, and it took you 3 tries to explain to me what that meant. And I thought I understood it every single time. And so, if that turns out to be true, and Brooklyn and Dante did have a baby, suddenly they're
Yes.
going to make Chase and Dante, who get along really well, suddenly not get
Not.
along.
Okay, I get it now.
Oh, and Lulu's going to come out of a coma and be like, "You had a baby this whole time with the girl that I hated," even though everyone has moved on from hating Brooklyn.
Exactly. It's Maxie's best friend.
Oh, Maxie said Lulu was her best friend this week, but
Balone.
her best friend, because did she name her daughter somewhat after Brooklyn?
Yeah.
What's her name? What's her baby?
Bailey Lou?
Ba- no, it's after Lulu.
Well, Bailey Lou, BL?
Oh,
Okay.
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know if any of that's true. Lulu is her best friend, but but Brooklyn is her non-coma best friend.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're like, you win, you're alive and moving. So, but she gave a speech at her wedding, right? She's like, we look, we all know. I'm gonna stop. We all know Brooklyn's important. I'm Maxie.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's what I think that was about. I can't say I know what all things are about, but I know what that was about.
Well, see, this is why we work so well together.
You're like, because I can't remember last week. It's okay. I don't remember like 5 minutes ago. So that's why every time we talk, it's exciting.
Totally. That's why I stayed in a bad marriage for 12 years.
Oh,
But some other stuff happened this week.
yeah. So as much as aside from other transition words, Brooklyn. So Brooklyn was in a kitchen and Gio walked in.
Yes.
What am I saying? Speaking of the baby, Gio is talking to Brooklyn, and then Brooklyn made a really weird face when he mentioned his mom.
I know.
And her name is Camila.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say that. I remembered the
Okay.
fact. So, like, this could be a thing. And then, like, Brooklyn all mommed him by taking his foot off a cushion.
And the what she said about baking for Violet, that she wants to make sure that Violet feels loved and cared for, and that when Geo said what he did, like it was just a lot of face acting, and you're like, yeah, totally your son, totally, and you know too.
Like, he's a quartermain, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, this is going to be a thing, most likely.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be so fun too.
Yes.
Is he gonna be the next mini CEO of the music division?
Oh, they don't even have one, but they should.
They should
So
totally.
there's been okay, so there's been a lot of more quartermain fighting loudly. Like Drew's like, Valentine, remember that time you didn't side with us? We're like, right, the quartermains fight a lot. Thank you. Thank you for walking us through this. So that gets weird, right? Because
So weird.
this is what I mean, that they're talking us through some storylines and some character
Hmm.
stuff. So when Ned was alone with Michael, he starts going, I trust you, not Michael. I mean, trust you, not Drew. And I was like, "Say what now?" And he's like, "Drew's changed." And I'm like, "Yeah, he's
Yeah,
changed.
yeah.
Where are you going with this, Ned?" And he's like, "He was never like this before. He's only out for himself. You should watch your back, Michael." I'm like, "It sounds like he knows, but he doesn't know."
He doesn't know until he knows.
And it's really funny how Michael is all like defending him because like Drew leaves. Like literally, Drew is like, Michael, you should join this conversation. Oh, your wife walked away and she's alone right now. You know what? Three's a crowd. Bye. And he takes off
So
after Willow.
funny.
And someone messaged us and it made me laugh. And I guess I didn't even see it that way. But like, you know, when they had the quarter when Sasha threw the lunch for Cody,
Yes.
and then all the times like, you know, after that, Willow was like doing yoga at the
Hmm.
boathouse and she's there with Drew at the boathouse. They pointed out that like nobody has a problem chilling there after Kate's got shot. Like
After murder. That's how little people gave a crap about it.
I know. They're like, let's bring
Sorry.
children here and have a family brunch.
Let's
I'm gonna
renew the vibe.
I'm gonna relax and do yoga.
So bad.
I love that. I love that fact. That was so good. So going back to Ned for a second, that's what I meant. I felt like he was totally talking through the Drew character because I'm sorry, nobody knows what Drew's doing in his personal life, right? Like nobody knows about
Yes.
Nina, nobody knows about Willow. So it feels a little out of nowhere with regards to Ned suddenly saying all these things about him. So it felt like one of those moments where we're like, you know what? It's about time we all be suspicious of Drew. I'm pretty sure he's sleeping with somebody's wife.
Well, he changed his name, so he's a quartermain through and through now.
So that's when he became a bad person. So it was just strange. But it was like there Ned was talking us through someone's character. And then I was just loving how Maxie is there. Like her family's there.
Yeah.
There's Sasha. The whole like deception keeps her pulled in. We used to talk a lot about how we loved Maxie's like connection to the Corinthos, but I also love her connection to everybody. You know what I mean? I feel
Exactly.
like she has that Carly vibe in that sense where she's really connected to everyone and a little bit everywhere. And I was loving that moment in the kitchen with her, Ned, and James. I thought it was so cute. And then I was like, oh, look at her having a private scene with Michael.
I know. I thought that was very interesting. What was your vibe about it?
Well, I had a flashback to a scenes years ago where I forget if it might have been Maxie going through something or it could have been Michael going through something, but they were
Hmm.
at the hospital talking and I was like, "Oh, wow, like these two have a lot of history. This would be like an interesting couple because like, Maxie is more of a Carly vibe
Yes, I
to
do remember
Michael."
that conversation, oddly enough.
Yeah, we were doing our podcast back then and we talked about that possibility. We might have even posted about it. So
Hmm.
that flashed into my head, but I was like, I shook my brain a little bit and was like, right, she's with Spinelli. It's a whole other thing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
but then I didn't feel so good about how the conversation ended.
What was
She's
the
like,
last thing she said?
Aren't we so lucky that both of us each
Ah,
found our
crap.
person? And she said it weird. And I'm like, yeah, you found your
Yes.
person. And then she's like, I should make more time for Spinelli. And I was like, what?
Yes. Date nights planned. Then they talked about planning date nights.
They did, but it was just the way she said we both found our person, but we also know the truth about Willow, and you're making it seem like you guys are samesies. And I'm like, but you're not samesies. You're not
Not
samesies. Are you trying to tell
samesies.
us that you're samesies? So that was a bit odd to me. But I love how no one could get out a sentence. But there's James asking about guilt.
Kissing.
And he's like, well, why are you asking? What does this have to do with Willow and Drew? Well, Willow and Drew kissed on the lips. She told Grandma Nina all about it. I'm like, damn, what is Nedley going to do with this? Is he gonna like, because he just tells Michael, I trust you. Is he really gonna twist the knife and hurt Michael with this news? Or
I think,
what?
well, he's a quartermain, right? So he's going to go to Drew and blackmail him, get him to back off, and then solidify his
Oh,
relationship with Michael.
oh yeah. You are thinking like a quarter mean. I'm like, that tracks. This is me. I'm like, what's gonna happen? There's no precedence for this sort of thing. I've never watched a soap in my life. Thanks, Val. You brought me back. I was just on the brink with that one.
You're welcome.
Um, okay. All right. Let's just get to it and talk about Portia for just 2 seconds. You do
Okay.
not snap at Terry like that.
No,
That's a
you do
no-go.
not.
And
Mm.
Terry's like, "What is with you?" She's like, "Brad's been working for here for like a month, and I can't even recall any connection between Portia and Brad."
Exactly. I was like, oh my God, what am I missing here? I'm going to have to ask Mish or not do research.
Okay, and so Portia's going full Heather because now she's just against anybody who has no
Yes.
morals. She's like, I don't like you because you kill. Fair. I don't like you because you switch lab tests. All right. Um, but yeah. And then they
The-
show that she did it. Like now I'm even more mad about her slow typing. You were criming at that slow type rate? I just can't with that.
So like that whole scene. So first off, because she knows now that Brett is back, when she did her flashback, I paused on the key card to make sure that it was her card and not Brad. Like she was putting on an act for Terry that she actually didn't know.
And
But she used her own key card. I was gonna snap it and send
no,
it to you.
she's not bright. Like
She's
what
not
is
good at
that?
criming, right? Because literally they can track it back to her key card at the time the things are changed.
For the fact that Elizabeth didn't do that when she first came to
I
see that the
know.
test results were this jarringly different, I don't know why you wouldn't have checked to see if anybody touched or tampered with it because that's like literally what happens at GH. But then after this whole debacle with Terry, she calls Trina out to go to go for dinner and is like telling Trina about Heather's results and everything's fine. And then Trina's confused.
She's amazing as hell, Trina. What did she say? So like she ate cobalt?
Just because the mom's like, she didn't get it from the hip, but she obviously had it. And then she's like, so pescatarians everywhere can go on a killing spree at
The
any
best.
moment. That was
The
a
best.
favorite line. And then Portia was getting very upset. And I just kept staring at the TV, being like, stop asking questions, Trina. Just stop. Just smile, be convinced, let your mom do her thing. But it's not going to take much to point the finger at her.
Yeah, totally. I don't know.
Meanwhile, Jordan is having the time of her life talking to Isaiah.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Like it's just insane to me, right? She like he's part of her routine. She picks him up
Oh.
foods. Hey, I'm sorry. Is this just me? But when she handed him the pastry, it was a flat bag and he pulled out a bit and took a bite. But then in later scenes there's this fatter pastry sitting on his tray. And I'm like that doesn't look right to me.
Logistics corner, flat pastries.
Yeah, they had some serious talks, but so that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Well, you can't talk about what they talked about after you sing a song about fat pastries. We all saw the scenes. We know what happened.
We did. We
Um,
totally did. They're cute. I can't wait to see them do it. Well, you
eh,
know what I mean.
like like hang out outside of the hospital.
Yes, like get
Okay.
together, go on a date, get to know each other in a real way because it's like a crisis situation that's pulled them together. But I do think there's a real foundation there. So I want to see them like go out into the world and try this.
Well, look, it's a crisis, but it's been pretty chill in the hospital.
Yeah, that's true. At the
Okay.
compound, however.
At the compound. Look, I'm just
At
gonna
the
say this.
compound. I'm sorry, I'm in a very singy mood. I guess.
I was unhappy when he showed up at the airplane. I didn't even want to talk about them at the casino. Yesterday, I didn't know if something happened to my eyes. I just I just I couldn't even go more backwards. Like I tried melting backwards into my sofa and out into the wall into the world. I just didn't know how to get away from that. And I also knew that I had to take a picture of it and it hurt my whole soul because I knew I had to press the button and rewind. And then Johnny's sitting there going like, "Why? What? Oh my god!" Like just really, like, we were very uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable. Screaming
Okay.
no in my head from out loud. I don't even know. I lost consciousness, but I did take the picture, and I just felt like I feel like
I
someone
wish.
owes me. I feel dirty, but I had to take the picture for a post, and I did my job. I did what I had to do, and I didn't want to do it, and I didn't
I
like it.
I wish there was a picture that Johnny took of you lying on the ground with your eyes closed, but your hand straight up in the air trying to take a picture of the TV.
I was like, look, like we we love General Hospital. Okay? And we are troopers through strikes, through reruns, we podcasted. When they do different things, we're like, okay, let's like go for the ride. And for the most part, we do. It's not like when I watched it when I was younger, where I would only fixate on certain storylines. I find now when I watch it, I'm able to kind of enjoy more of it, right? Without getting fixated on certain things of what I want to
Yes.
happen, but going along with it. But these are one of those things. We are I'm in denial and I can't like I can't go along with it. It hurts too much. It
Okay,
hurts.
so I thought about you the entire time. I was like, oh
Ugh.
my gosh, like this is crazy. Like, what am I going to say to Mish? Like, how am I going to make her see this in a different way to help her? So, this is what I came up with. Okay. So, he hears the door clang. So, one, he's trying to create a diversion, or two, she is the last woman left on earth. And he's like, okay, I have to kiss one woman because I haven't done anything in 3 years. I've been gone. I haven't touched a woman, and she's the last woman I will ever see in my whole entire life.
This is
And
what
then he was
Johnny
picturing Carly.
this is what Johnny had to say about
Okay.
this the what is it, the pretext? The pretense? The
Pre-
context?
yeah, sure, all of those.
About the situation. So
Hashtag it's complicated.
so the part where they're like, we're gonna die. Johnny sat there and he's like, "Really though? It's Jason. Like, on what planet, like these two, given their history, this is it. This is them. They're gonna die." Like, he just had
Mhm.
like the fun. It was really interesting as a person who backseat watches General Hospital, that
Yes.
when they saw this whole "we're gonna die," like they created this intense moment, but Johnny didn't even feel like that was believable. That this is the end for them because of who the characters are.
Yes.
And I don't know, it was very different. Like, people were pointing out that Jason did that as part of like a diversion. But remember, the clanking, the sound didn't come until later. And mind you, I didn't even realize anything about the sound until today. Because when I watched it the first time, I was, traumatized. And it happened fast. They looked at each other, he turned away, and he went back and he kisses her quickly. So the scene from Thursday is very fast paced, but
Yes.
the scene re-recorded on today's episode was way slower. So I love how today they're like, let's walk you through it. Don't panic, everyone.
Exactly. Exactly.
There was a reason behind it. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, there was a reason behind it, but the line was crossed. You expect me to believe that these two are going to go back to Port Charles and it is what it is?
Things are always blurry in Port Charles when it comes to ages. Like one of his first girlfriends was Robin. Anna is Robin's mom. How does that work exactly?
Well, she abandoned her to go be a spy.
So she remains youthful because she didn't have to deal with child
I
raising.
think it was easy to do because she didn't really raise her. So so she's like she kind of missed out on huge portions of her life like when she dated him. That's the thing though for that made me feel better, to be honest. Like
I
that
love
helped
it.
a lot. That helped a lot. It's just okay, Jason and Robin, like Jason is a significant person for Robin. It wasn't just an anything relationship. That's also what kind of makes it odd.
Yes.
There's nothing more to add to
Okay, we need to move on then. We need to move
no,
on.
factor Robert
No.
into it. Bring Robert into this
Ooh,
mess. Like Holly's like, no, I can't be the one to go and tell Robert that you're dead. I'm like, yeah. Think about who has to go tell Robert that they kissed. That's worse, Holly. That's worse. Like I flashed back to the funny moment where when Robin came back from the dead, and then and then Jason came back from the dead. So when they were both back from the dead, and and they were talking, and they were weirded out by the fact that Sam and Drake were together at one point. Do
yes.
you remember that?
Yes.
They're like, that's
Yes.
so weird. That's so weird. And so I'm just like, I'm laughing because I'm like, what you guys think about this one though? Like, what did you think? But look, it's just I mean, look, I'm disappointed because years ago they started the Carly Jason path and everything
Yes.
kind of ended, and I kind of wish, like we talked about, like, figure it out, either end it formally on the show, and we were kind of waiting. And honestly, it's like since Jason has been back, this whole mission, this whole thing with Anna, it's the first time Jason's really gotten to do anything since he's been back.
Yes.
So that's why I was like, when I saw the kiss, I'm like, so is this the direction? Like, I don't know about if that can happen. I mean, it's definitely a quicker way to get something set in motion, but it was weird. Leading up to this kiss, the fact that like she was mad at him and he wouldn't stop chasing her saying I want to talk about this, and all the looks they were sharing, like she acted like they were having a breakup. Like, I really don't know what to think of it.
Yes.
Like, we know that the Carly Sunny thing is really just this really comical thing that they have to do. We know that there's real like flirty fun chemistry between Carly and Brendan, but today she's like, I don't even know the guy. And then you have Sunny, who actually has these feelings for Natalia. And so when they were on the compound, and they rescued Lucky, and Lucky told Jason, "Don't shoot the guy." Because in my head, I kept thinking, "Yeah, this is gonna be fun," because he was such a good villain, and we've
Yes.
had a really cool villain in Port Charles for a while. So I was convinced this guy was gonna come back to Port Charles. And then after today, I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting. Pretty sure he's Natalia's ex-husband."
Oh, ding, ding, ding. Yes.
Because she says to Sunny, like, oh,
Winner.
he's like dangerous. So that whole thing is kind of interesting to me. So you do have all these couples set up. I guess for me, look, it's really weird. It's really, really weird. And there's a lot of people that they put together that we might not have thought of, but they did it in a slower paced way where you go along for the ride. Like they did it when they paired Sam and Drake together, you know, or Sam and Dante. I think these are all Sam examples, but
Yes.
I'm just saying it's very fast, but I don't think that they're going to let it go just yet. Another reason I think that they might play with it a little is because of the dynamic between Carly and Anna.
That's true. They've been putting them together a lot and in Brennan situations.
And Anna keeps obsessing over Carly a little bit. She keeps trying to like compete. She gets frustrated when she can't get movement from these men who are willing to like jump and do things for her. So like on the like mission front, like the things that Jason is willing to do for Carly, like she sees that sacrifice, what Brennan is willing to do for her. So and we all know how Carly is when Jason's with someone. With Sam, things kind of mellowed out, but he also
Yes.
died. So she became,
Yeah.
you know, but I definitely think we're gonna go back to that because if Carly finds out about Anna, like that's just gonna be really weird between her and Jason.
So weird. So freaking weird.
But I don't know. Look, I don't know if I'm being delusional, but it's like we talked about this before. Like, in order for that to happen, I honestly do think a lot of relationships have shifted enough for a Carly Jason thing to happen
Hmm.
because like there's a lot over between Sunny and Carly. Like they've never been so far apart but still loyal.
Yes.
Like she's never really had a life so separate in this way. The crew has totally dissolved, you know, like Sam is really doing her own thing.
Hmm.
um but like we talked about that, or the fact that they'd be with other people and that would be weird.
Yes. I don't like it.
So I wonder if that's part of it, like seeing, you know, Carly pretend with Sunny, or maybe when he sees how Brennan is with her. And I wonder if seeing Jason with Anna would push her toward something with Brennan.
I'm just hoping at the end of the day, this is just like a whole, this is what we're doing now. And then Jason and Carly are endgame type situation.
I'd like to think so, but I definitely think we're taking a pit stop. Like, remember the
We
Nixon
are.
Paul pit stop, everybody? Let's
Ugh.
one more time of like wackadoo land. And I think that'll happen. And I don't know if like Sidwell coming to town will play into that at all. I don't see how or why. But I also wondered if the way that Brennan went the extra mile in this scenario, I wonder if it was in a way a part of wooing Jason to kind of work for him.
I want to believe that that's the case as well.
Because, like, I mean, look at the direction he's been pushed in. He's not full blown working for Sunny.
Exactly. He works at the coffee house.
Yeah, so
He
that kind of
melts
happened.
buns.
Yeah. And they also showed um Elizabeth this week with Felicia. It was really interesting how they paired that. So, like, again, one of those things that felt very in your face, probably a summary for people, but it was interesting to have like these two legacy characters and having Felicia use her Frisco experience to sort of, you know, connect with Elizabeth and Lucky and who he could be for her at this time. So I thought that was interesting, and I was trying to understand um like what was going on there. Like I felt they used Felicia to kind of show that there was still a possibility for Elizabeth and Lucky.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Elizabeth appeared in Lucky's memory. And then, just like all of the conversations leading up to this, but that really like cemented things when Felicia had her conversation with her.
And then the phone call, like, it's so
Hmm.
funny because it's like, it's been so long, and there's certain things you're like, "Okay," like, I remember when Morgan came back, we're like, "Oh, disappointed he's come back for 1 episode," but then you see him on the screen and you're like, "Oh, man, do I feel the absence," like, you didn't expect to have, like,
Yeah.
the reaction you did, and I find that, like, even though I'm like, "Okay, Lucky's back, whatever," it's just tough when you know that certain characters are leaving and you have all this extra, you know, mixed feelings, but then when I see Elizabeth and Lucky on screen together, like there is a reaction. Like you don't realize,
Yes.
damn, it's been so long. Oh my gosh, there's so much history there. And I hope that they do them justice, you know, for this not to just be this like love story, but there's a lot to deal with in terms of his
Yes.
absence. So I do look forward to some drama, but in a really well-paced way that respects Elizabeth and Lucky's history. And if something could be, it could be, but there's just so much there between them.
Well, history and journey, like Elizabeth's talking about her self-growth, her self-discovery, everything that she's gone through, her confidence, and Lucky is behind
Yeah,
on the, growth part.
but she was able to point at that.
Yes, exactly.
There's one big conversation that happened. There was a few things actually that came from Elizabeth. So in the conversation with Felicia, she actually referenced Danny and Jason when she was talking
Yes.
about Lucky and Aiden. And part of me is like, but how come not the reference between, like, let's say Jason and Jake? And I wonder if she was trying to use, like, I don't know, maybe an example she thought was more successful. I didn't
Okay.
understand why that, like, why compare Jason to Danny when she was talking about her kids.
Mhm.
But then, it was interesting. She ended up referencing Sam and how that makes it double the worry for her. Also from Elizabeth, she told us that her brother Steven is out of jail.
Yes, what did that mean? I highlighted it to bring it up.
I have no idea, but it's like he's been in jail since Olivia. Olivia was in a relationship with him and he went to jail.
Why did he go to jail? Do we know?
He kind of killed someone.
Okay. For
I
for
think
like
I
self-defense or
I think
for
it might
for
have been like a
murder?
I think it might have been like a patient, possibly. From what I recall,
Um,
we kind of just
mhm.
like played God a little bit and just and nudged that
Mm-mm.
person in the direction of death.
Got it, got it.
Yeah, so he went to jail for that for a really long time, but I thought it was weird to bring him up if you're not bringing him back on the show. But
Exactly.
we were talking about Sam a second ago. What did you think of her conversation with Carly?
It was really interesting because remember Sam had that big conversation with Michael last week. Now she's
Yeah,
having this big conversation with Carly. And what I can't understand for the life of me is why isn't she going to Sunny? I don't know if she feels that by tackling it in this way, she's going to get better results. But at the end of the day, she said exactly what we all knew to begin with. Carly is going to stick up for Sunny. And that's it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you say. And it was, again, a conversation in Lulu's room. She's going to have all these disjointed conversations strung
yeah.
together in her coma head and then come out of it and not know what the heck is going on and that everybody's turned evil. But it's interesting to see the old Sam creeping in to the person that has progressed so much.
Yeah, like the old Carly Sam dynamic. So like the one thing that I thought was interesting, like that Carly pointed out, was that Alexis got herself into this spot by tossing the gun. Like if she didn't do that,
Yes,
she would have never. So it's kind of like everyone focuses on Christina's actions, but nobody focuses on the fact that like Alexis made a really bad decision. And
exactly.
everyone is glossing over that and pointing the finger at Carly and Sunny. I mean, Sunny did kill him,
I
but
mean,
like
he did.
no one's acknowledging that part. But for me, it's like Sam has changed, and I respect that. She no longer values that world, the cover ups, the crime.
Mm-hmm.
And she's really pulled away from that. So it's like that used to take precedence, but now her family does. And I think that's fine. And I get her wanting to help Alexis, but I just feel like when it comes to Carly, she knows Carly very well. She begins to plead with her. And just like the first time she went to her, when she asked Jason, she wanted Carly to tell Jason to stop seeing Danny. So in these instances, she goes to Carly to ask for something she knows that Carly wouldn't do.
Yes.
She throws the insult, she tries to make her feel bad, and then she lists everything she knows about Carly, kind of like, "I know you wouldn't do this, you never would, you're blah, blah, blah." So it's like, if you know that these are things she would never do, why have this conversation? What exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for a bad guy? Are you looking to reaffirm the choices you made to distance yourself from that life? Are you looking for a fight? Because I feel like in this context of her mom, she is a PI. She is very much equipped to help her mom. And the fact that she knows that Carly is lying about the alibi, the fact that she feels like it could be Sunny, like Sam actually has a lot to go off of if she wanted to help her mom. She could do that. And I wonder if her reluctance to go to Sunny has to do with like, what would Dante think?
Okay, let me put this spin on things.
Okay.
As you were talking, it came to me. They keep fighting about Jason. But when Jason was gone, like you said, the relationship between Carly and Sam was beautiful. We even called it, them being sisters. Like they didn't treat each other like friends. It was really like a sister type situation. Is Sam's instinct to always go to Carly without maybe Sam even knowing, not about fighting about Jason, because it literally started when Jason got back, but about vying for Carly's attention, having Carly choose Sam.
Oh.
Fun
Hmm.
twist, huh?
Well, they were in it together for so long.
Right? And then it all just it kind of reminded me, parallels a little bit like Tracy and how all of her emotions came out
Oh,
in a really
yeah.
difficult way because she's experienced so much loss and so much change, and she finally established something stable.
But it's so true because they used to check in on each other, and, like, I remember one time Sam showed up to Carly's hotel room at one point and was like, "Talk about your feelings. You shouldn't hold it inside." And I was like, "What?" But yeah, you make a good point. Like, they were living their lives, and if Jason wasn't in the picture, and honestly, with Sunny not in the picture, they were really, yeah, it was easier to have a relationship, and they definitely probably would have put each other first more if it wasn't for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
it's true. She used to be in her corner more than now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that comes out before the other thing happens.
I'm in denial about that.
Same here. Okay, I think we covered all the things and all the stuff. There are a few things that I want to make mention to. Let's go back up here. A star to Elizabeth's WTF face when Willow would not stop talking about Drew.
Yes. Yes.
A cute little star for Geo, and when he had that conversation about fighting about his cookie, which is like the whole description of cookie and culture and him not being accepted, and that at the end of the day, his mom made him feel that he can be who he was always at home.
It's a lot from a cookie.
It was a
It's
lot from a
great.
cookie. One of my favorite lines was when Joss was talking to her mom and Carly was trying to describe her relationship with Sunny, and Joss is like, "It's noble in a weird, twisted, gothic sort of way."
Yes.
Absolutely loved it. Okay, logistics corner. Lucky was trying to break out of the prison cell with a plastic knife.
Yeah, two at one point.
Too.
One was
Yeah.
just pointed at the other one. Just I don't know why. Um
and then Anna found some string under the bed and tried to break out too. So
I don't know, like, at one point she lost, like, she was different. I have to say that Anna was a bit different in these scenes. She was, like,
yes,
shaking the bed at one
intense.
point. I have to say the fight scene, the way it was filmed actually made Anna look like she knew what she was doing. It was
Yes.
like, I have to admit, like, the way that that was filmed was amazing. She would screamed and lunged toward the guy. The action scenes were so well done.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah, that was really well done in the compound. I do have some favorite lines, and I feel like most of them come from Alexis.
Tell me.
Well, no, one was from Heather, "New hip, no hook," was what Heather had to say.
So good.
And Alexis, when Heather was giving her tips, said, "You're not the only one who's prisoned around here." I really love that. Yeah, I think that was it. I said a lot of my other lines before, but, like, a star to everyone. Elizabeth, Lucky, I don't wanna talk about the compound, Brennan, and that random who's that new girl? And I find, like, whenever they show the Brennan scenes, it's kinda cool. It looks like a drama, like a
It
nighttime
really a
drama, not
nighttime
a
drama. I knew exactly what you meant. But yes, I'm wondering if we're going to see actually more of the WSB. I'm also going to give a star to, well, the fight scene because we just talked about it. A star
Yes.
to Stella and Tracy's relationship, and
Oh,
then the
yes.
scene, yeah, and then the like apology scene with
So good.
Sasha and Cody, like so good. I'm gonna give a star to Diane because her physicality when she was talking to Sunny and pacing around the
Yes.
room and like being all fidgety was so good. She's like, I am so over you, man. Like, you need to figure it out.
I know, and it's tough. She's in a tough spot with Alexis.
Oh
Alexis is
gosh.
doing this, and you can't even just fake a date better. And okay, so definitely a star to Alexis and Heather, Jordan and Isaiah. Definitely gonna
Yes.
give a star to the Carly Sam scenes now that we've talked about it the way that we did. James and Ned, that was amazing. Maxie and the Quartermains, I don't know why I love it so much, but I just do.
I do too.
And good luck to Michael. That's all I got for
Best of
that
luck,
guy.
sir.
Best of
Aw.
luck in all your endeavors as you try to marriage.
And a star to the Jordan Alexis conversation.
Yes! Oh my gosh, how can we forget? I love the respect that they have for one another. I love Jordan. She let Alexis,
Oh
say
yes.
her piece, like, and I think Jordan respected the tough spot that she was in. Loved it. I loved it so much, the 2 of them.
It was a fantastic action-packed week. We got blinded. We got
Yep.
we got all kinds of stuff that happened to us.
Yep.
What a fantastic week! That's a wrap, folks. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye.
Bye.